Did you watch those two grown black men get into it online and the whole world leans in like it's a heavyweight title fight? That's what happened the other day. A comedian on one side, a philanthropist on the other. Two dudes with platforms, voices, influence. And the moment got heated, real heated, but it stayed verbal. No guns, no threats, no I'm pulling up, no I'm grabbing something, just two men disagreeing in front of the world. And the crazy part, that alone felt rare. Because in the culture we live in now, a disagreement ain't a disagreement anymore. It's a trigger. It's a fuse. It's a countdown to somebody doing something stupid because their ego can't handle being challenged. But these two, they kept it words. They kept it human. They kept it where it needed to stay. And that's what caught my attention. Not the argument, not the tension, not the back and forth, but the fact that it didn't turn into the same weak A pattern I've seen my whole life. Men reaching for guns because they don't know how to reach for their own emotional control. See, that's the part nobody wants to talk about. We live in a culture where men don't know how to disagree without trying to destroy each other. A culture where the moment a man feels embarrassed, he reaches for a weapon. A culture where fear gets dressed up as toughness and insecurity gets marketed as dominance. A culture where dudes think pulling a trigger makes them powerful when really it just exposes how powerless they feel inside. And I've watched it for years. I've watched men who can't handle being challenged, men who crumble the moment their image gets touched, men who talk like lions but think like prey, men who walk around with wolf talk, barking loud, chest out, voice raised. But the moment you get close enough to see their eyes, you realize they're terrified. Terrified of losing face. Terrified of being seen. Terrified of being exposed as regular. And I've watched it for years. I've watched men who can't handle being challenged. Men who crumble the moment their image gets touched. Men who talk like lions but think like prey. Men who walk around with wolf talk, barking loud, chest out, voice raised. But the moment you get close enough to see their eyes, you realize they're terrified. Terrified of losing face. Terrified of being seen. Terrified of being exposed as regular. If these lames have a female audience around, it can really get real. Fake weak men gain fake courage in front of females. That's why guns became the default. Not because men got tougher, but because men got weaker emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. And weak men with weapons are the most dangerous combination on earth. Real talk. Let me break something down cold. Most men don't shoot because they're tough. Most men shoot because they're scared. Scared of losing an argument. Scared of being embarrassed. Scared of being seen as soft. Scared of being held accountable. Scared of standing alone without a weapon to hide behind. Fear is the real trigger. Fear is the real bullet. Fear is the real weapon. And when you understand that, you start seeing the truth behind the behavior. You start seeing how many men walk around with unprocessed fear disguised as aggression. You start seeing how many men use guns as emotional crutches. You start seeing how many men are terrified of conflict unless they have something in their hand to make them feel bigger than they really are. And that's why I respected that online moment. Not because it was perfect, not because it was peaceful, but because it didn't turn into the same fear-based nonsense I've watched destroy too many black men for too many years. Let's talk about wolf talk. You know the type. The dudes who bark the loudest. The ones who swear they're built for anything. The ones who swear they're ready for smoke. The ones who swear they're the realest in the room. But here's the truth. Wolf talk is insecurity in disguise. The louder the bark, the weaker the foundation. The more a man performs toughness, the less he actually has. The more a man threatens, the more he's trying to convince himself. And I've seen it up close. I've seen men talk tough for months, years, decades. But the moment you get their goat, the moment you press them, the moment you expose the crack in their armor, they fold, they panic, they reach for a gun, or they reach for the cops, or they reach for a crowd to hide behind. Because wolf talk ain't about strength, it's about fear. Fear of being seen, fear of being challenged, fear of being revealed as regular. And let's be real about something else. A lot of men who talk the toughest are the first ones to call the cops when the energy shifts. I've seen it too many times. Dudes who swear they're gangster. Dudes who swear they're untouchable. Dudes who swear they're ready for anything. But the moment you step to them with calm, controlled energy, the moment you don't match their bark, the moment you don't flinch, they panic. They call them alphabet boys like it's a shield. They weaponize the system they claim to be above because tough talk is cheap. Accountability is expensive, and most men can't afford it. That's why I don't get impressed by loud voices. I don't get impressed by threats. I don't get impressed by online chest puffing. I don't get impressed by men who need an audience to feel powerful. Real strength don't need a crowd. Real strength don't need a badge. Real strength don't need a weapon. Another thing I've learned, a lot of men don't know how to stand alone. They need a group behind them. They need backup. They need validation. They need witnesses. They need somebody to co-sign their identity. Because without the group, they feel naked. Without the group, they feel exposed. Without the group, they feel small. And that's why so many conflicts turn into group situations. Not because the issue requires it, but because the man at the center of it is too insecure to stand on his own 2 feet. But here's the truth. If you need 10 people behind you to feel strong, you're not strong. If you need a crowd to validate your identity, you don't have one. If you need a group to protect your ego is already broken. Real men don't hide behind groups. Real men don't weaponize crowds. Real men don't need an entourage to feel whole. Let me break it down even colder. Weakness has a psychology, and most men don't even realize they're living inside it. Weakness is reactive. Weakness is impulsive. Weakness is emotional. Weakness is loud. Weakness is unstable. Weakness is unpredictable. Weakness is insecure. Weakness needs to be seen. Weakness needs to be validated. Weakness needs to be feared. Weakness needs to be respected because it doesn't respect itself. And when weakness gets challenged, it panics. It lashes out. It escalates. It reaches for weapons. It reaches for crowds. It reaches for police. It reaches for anything that can protect the fragile ego inside. That's why I say it again. Most men don't shoot because they're tough. They shoot because they're scared. Now let me flip it. Strength has a psychology too. Strength is calm. Strength is controlled. Strength is quiet. Strength is stable. Strength is grounded. Strength is aware. Strength is present. Strength doesn't need to be loud. Strength doesn't need to be feared. Strength doesn't need to be validated. Strength doesn't need to be seen. Strength doesn't escalate. Strength doesn't panic. Strength doesn't reach for weapons. Strength doesn't hide behind gangs. Strength doesn't call the cops after wolf talking. Strength stands on its own 2 feet. Strength handles conflict with clarity, not chaos. Strength knows that real power is emotional discipline. And that's the part men don't want to hear. Because emotional discipline requires work. It requires honesty. It requires self-reflection. It requires accountability. It requires maturity. And most men ain't ready for that. So let me say this directly to the men watching. If you need a gun to feel powerful, you're not powerful. If you need a group to feel brave, you're not brave. If you need to talk tough to feel respected, you're not respected. If you need to call the cops after wolf talking, you're not built like that. If you need to escalate to avoid embarrassment, you're not in control. If you need to threaten violence to win an argument, you already lost. Real men don't hide behind weapons. Real men don't hide behind police. Real men don't hide behind ego. Real men face conflict with clarity. Real men de-escalate. Real men think before they react. Real men choose discipline over chaos. Real men choose accountability over image. And if that makes you uncomfortable, good. Growth always does. So, when I watched that moment between the comedian and the philanthropist, two black men with influence, two black men with platforms, two black men with eyes on them. I didn't see drama. I didn't see entertainment. I didn't see a spectacle. I saw possibility. I saw what it looks like when disagreement stays human. I saw what it looks like when ego doesn't turn into violence. I saw what it looks like when two men refuse to let fear run the show. I saw what it looks like when conflict doesn't become a funeral. And that's the message I'm pushing. Not violence, not fighting, not handling it like men in the physical sense. I'm pushing accountability. I'm pushing self-control. I'm pushing emotional discipline. I'm pushing anti-gun, anti-fear, anti-wolf talk energy. I'm pushing real manhood, not the performance of it. Because at the end of the day, the strongest man in the room ain't the loudest, ain't the angriest, ain't the one with the weapon, ain't the one with the crowd. The strongest man in the room is the one who can stay calm when everybody else is losing their mind. And that's the energy I'm standing on.